Hey, what's up YouTube? It is Toy Adventures, here again with another figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new G.I. Joe Classified Series, Footloose and Blowtorch. So, these are part of the brand new wave that is coming out. I believe there's also the Frag Viper and, who was the other one? Darklon. So those are two other characters that I really wasn't as interested in as these two. Usually most of the Cobra troops that aren't just infantry don't really interest me because they're usually wacky colors. I tend to stick to the militaristic guys and the Joes, and even then I stick to the militaristic Joes. Like I haven't even gotten Quick Kick yet, so these two were definite wants for me, especially Footloose here. Blowtorch was also nice because he's just a flamethrower. He comes with some really cool accessories, so that kind of won me over on him. Whereas Footloose, I've been waiting since the beginning of the line because he's just another one of those really cool military-looking Joes that's not too crazy or anything. He just looks like a soldier, and those are the Joes that I tend to favor. So, pretty standard box art here. It just says, you know, the names and has the standard blue background. Sticking to the side here, we do get some pretty cool art. You can see this really does represent, in lore, Footloose's more laid-back personality. And I guess for Blowtorch, it's just something cool, you know, showing him use his flamethrower. So pretty cool box arts there that fit the characters. Here on the back, you get nice little images for Blowtorch here. It shows a tank layer with General Hawk in there, and some Cobra troopers, specifically the retro Cobra troopers, trying to fight him off. Interestingly, that he is firing the flamethrower in the opposite direction. Perhaps he's clearing out brush for more heavy equipment, or there's soldiers behind him, or he's a little lost. Who knows? But it is a cool little image regardless. Shows off his mask and his gas tanks. Pretty cool to get a flamethrower in the classified line regardless. And yeah. For Footloose here, it's pretty much just an image of him in the desert. You got Dusty there in the background. Pretty cool little reference. And then you have what looks to be a gray destroyed Cobra tank that is also upside down. I don't know how you screwed a tank up that bad, but you did. And then, of course, an Abrams rolling in. It's interesting that they put Footloose in the desert where he's wearing clearly like woodland camo. I think like this should have been more of a forest picture, but it is what it is. It shows his little four-leaf clover emblem on his shoulder. I'm not sure what that means. I'm gonna have to look that up when I open these guys. And a shark mouth on his Law bazooka. I guess it's just a rocket launcher. I believe this is based on the Law, just oversized because usually Laws are pretty small. But anyway, that is it for the packaging on these two. We have 154 and 156, so those are their numbering. Anyway, let's get ahead and open these up. One more thing I wanted to show off about the bazooka is that it does receive your standard blast effect pretty easily. Looks really nice. And it's pretty hard to get him to hold it because you can see there's actually no handle on there. As with the Law, you're supposed to put your hand right here and clamp down. So it would look something like this, like that, but you're gonna have to really stretch out the hands and almost ruin them just to get it to look convincing. So I really think in this case it was necessary to have separate hands specifically for handling the bazooka, and without them you are gonna do some damage, or at least stretch out the hands you have, the only hands you have, just to get him to hold this correctly. Alright, so here we have both of them out of the box. And first we're going to take a look at Footloose here because he is the one I'm a little more interested in. So we're going to get him out of the way first. Let's get our lights down right on him. And this is a really nice body. I really like the 3-color camo here. This vest here is also a new piece. Still not removable, sadly. I really wish they would start doing removable vests. It almost looked removable with this pouch right here, but it's just glued on. Yeah, I really wish they'd start doing removable vests. But that being said, this is still a really cool new vest for him. I like all the pouches on it. I like when they have more pouches. You can tell that there's more ammo in there because a lot of these guys, You don't know where their ammo would be. So that's really nice. You got a nice little, I think that's a smoke grenade. Printed little patch on his shoulder. I'm not sure what that is for. I looked up him, through the bag. He did go to desert warfare training, so that would explain the back of his box. But he also went to advanced infantry training and other things, so maybe this is referencing one of those. I looked those up, but I didn't see this little emblem, so I'm not sure what this is referencing. Of course, we all know what that's referencing. The old red, white, and blue on his other shoulder. I really like it. I like how it has like these little stars around it. Pretty interesting. I wonder if that means anything or if that's just a cool little design. Nice little sculpted pockets with zippers in there. Really nice detail on this guy. It's just, you take a look and you see a lot of things. I love the detail on these pants. You can see that it has the extra heavy material sewn on, especially where, it would tear most, where he's going to be kneeling and whatnot. So pretty cool. He's got the jungle boots down here that has the pant leg going over them. Kind of would prefer if it was rolled up, but it is what it is. Still think it looks pretty cool. And then he has no gloves on, but he does come with 2 of the new watch pieces, like where it's not molded onto the wrist, it's a separate piece. I think Leatherneck did that first. So really nice to see him actually have 2 of them. That makes him valuable for parts. This vest alone makes him valuable because it's a really nice and new part that comes just with him. And then you have the Pedro Pascal face. Everyone's been saying it, and he does look like him. Kind of more of a white Pedro Pascal than Hispanic, so kind of goofy, but that is how Footloose has always looked. I think they could have done maybe a little bit more of a square job, but it does look like a good face sculpt. I do like it. Articulation wise, this guy's pretty standard, double jointed knees. Really would only be different, on the legs here is the legs, which the feet, which do get 360 degree rotation and hinge up and down, so they aren't really hampered at all by the covering. Other than that, ab crunch, waist rotation, drop down legs, double jointed pinless arms, bicep swivel, hinge that far. The bicep crunch is really nice. Now, one thing we gotta see is how good is the butterfly joint, which, no better than they usually are, but I'm always going to be chasing that retro Duke High where he could totally have a two-handed gun pose with the pistol. So that's pretty much it for the buck. The body, really nice. Ooh, I wonder what those are. It looks like little med kits on his back along with extra mags for his rifle. Really nice. Really, really nice. So let's go ahead and go over his accessories, starting out with his helmet. One thing that I love about this, and I really hope they continue going on forward, is chin straps. I'm so sick of these chin strapless helmets that don't look realistic at all. Especially professionals like G.I. Joes would absolutely wear their chin strap to keep their helmet on their noggin. Really nice to see this. He also has some kind of night vision device on the top. It doesn't move, unfortunately, like the Valiverse ones do, which can like flip down onto their eyes. This one can't. I'm not even sure if that is what it's supposed to be, but that's what it looks like. So if you know exactly what this is supposed to be, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. And that just goes on his head. Kind of want to put the chin strap on there first. And actually, no, you don't. You want to just squish it on. Forgot. You just want to squish it on the top and get the chin piece into position. And that looks really good. Love that. I hope they do more of that. I think they did that with Doc as well. Really nice when they do that. Then it comes with, his sidearm to go in his holster back here. A lot of these back holsters now, I wonder why. This seems like a really inconvenient spot to put your gun. But, they've been doing it quite often recently. And then his knife just goes right in his sheath. Oh yeah, I forgot to show off the pistol. It's pretty standard. We've seen this pistol before. It is nothing new. His lob, or his rocket launcher here, is a bit big for what it's supposed to be, but it does look really cool, especially with that little shark face on the bottom, on the shooting end. has nicely sculpted in sights. You can see here, I believe this is the little covering that you would, this would be flipped on here, and this part would be pushed in. You unflip it, flip it down like that, pull this out, and now you're ready to fire the rocket launcher. And you also do get a little rocket to go in there. So that looks pretty neat, although this is not how a law looks. It'd, for one, be much smaller, and it wouldn't show the rocket. You would just press the button and it'd shoot out. So that is cool. Another thing that I like about it is it does come with a sling, so you can sling it over his shoulder if he's not going to be directly using it. And that serves up some room for his main weapon, the M16 that we've seen with a lot of figures. I think it started with Grunt. I believe this was originally Grunt's weapon. And then, of course, his backpack, which is actually Dusty's backpack, which kind of fits, considering he has desert trainings, and this one has the 2 canteens, and it was Dusty's backpack. He was shown with Dusty on the back, so it kind of fits. They have matching backpacks. So that looks really nice. It's not going to stay in that well, but I have a solution for that. But there you have your Footloose, fully geared up, and he looks really nice. I really am impressed with a lot of their new additions to the line. It seems like this year specifically, we got a lot of the characters I have been waiting for, like Leatherneck, a better Cobra Viper, Footloose. These are characters that I've been really looking forward to them coming into the line, and they have came into the line within this year. I'm not sure. No, I don't think the retro Beachhead came out this year, but that was another one. These last 2 years have been really good for this line because it's been coming out with a lot of the characters I like. One more thing I wanted to show off about the bazooka is that it does receive your standard blast effect pretty easily. Looks really nice. And it's pretty hard to get him to hold it because you can see there's actually no handle on there. As with a law, you're supposed to put your hand right here and clamp down. So it would look something like this. Like that. But you're gonna have to really stretch out the hands and almost ruin them just to get it to look convincing. So I really think in this case it was necessary to have separate hands specifically for handling the bazooka, and without them you are going to do some damage, or at least stretch out the hands you have, the only hands you have, just to get him to hold this correctly. So let's get on to his compadre here, his teammate, Blowtorch. Take a look at this body. I've never seen this armor before. I don't think this is based on anything in reality, but you guys can let me know if I'm wrong. It seems to be this armor plating with these little nozzles or whatnot attached to the body. It's very strange. I don't know if this is supposed to be armor or whatnot. Clearly this baggy undersuit is supposed to be like a firefighter's flame retardant suit, but I don't know what these armor bits on here are meant to be. It's a little perplexing. He has this little device right here. Is it plugged in? Yeah, it just plugs in. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's a part of his air system, considering he has to wear the oxygen mask. And this is having a little bit of a... There we go. He's having a tough time getting back in. So, a new buck. That is interesting. And, of course, with the armor, there is pretty much no butterfly joint in there whatsoever. It is hardly usable. The arms, the double jointed arms don't go that crazy. At least it doesn't seem. I'm really trying to get the bend in there. There we go. Yeah, his articulation is a little hampered because he has a very bulky, like a deceptively bulky body. Legs are fine. Legs have the, standard amount of articulation. Drop down. But these top parts are going to get in the way of the drop down kicking. So his armor does get in the way a bit, especially the way it's shaped. This chest piece and these leg bits especially do get in the way of some more dynamic posing, but considering he's a flamethrower, I don't think you're going to need that much. And then we get onto his head, which really bugs me. This just looks like, whoever sculpted that terrible original Falcon head sculpted this one as well. It just looks so doughy, plain, just plain Jane looking guy, just a dude. It doesn't have any great details, and it's really big. It's like oversized, just this really squared head. Very strange. Maybe that's something he's known for. Again, I'm not super familiar with Blowtorch, but it just does not look that great. It looks a lot, like I said, like the original Falcon head we got that was pretty bad. Anyway, that is it for the book. It is obviously brand new, completely brand new for this character because, you know, mainly because he has a new armor set that you really couldn't reuse or, you know, source from anything else. You got to make a new figure just for him. So now we're going to get on to his accessories. And this one is a little less clear because you do get some pretty interesting ones. Of course, you do get a pistol. Actually, I shouldn't say, of course, I'm actually rather impressed. You do get a sidearm. It seems to be just like a modern 1911. Pretty cool. Fits right there in his holster, which is, you know, a traditional side holster. Pretty nice considering this guy has the back holster. I just still don't know why they did that. Then you get his little face mask here. That goes over his head. It's a little tough because, like I said, his head is big. Come on. Maybe I get the face mask on there first. Push it into place. It is a little tough getting it on there. And then you plug that in to the mouth bit. This is like a mole rat all over again, where it's just a lot of plugging in hoses into nozzles, and then articulation is cut in half. And I feel feeling, oh yeah, this is gonna be tough to get done. That was really tough. So it is kind of a hassle to get all this stuff on, but once you do, it looks really cool. This looks like a great compromise between a really sci-fi helmet and a modern looking helmet. This is clearly based off of a modern fast helmet with the two ear protections right there, and I believe these are either headlamps or helmet cams. I think they're headlights, especially, or headlamps, especially considering, you know, he is going into fires. And then you also have a mounting spot for kind of optics, you know, nods or infrared or whatever. Pretty cool. Really like the look of this. They did a great job kind of mending real and the fantasy element of this guy. I don't know if this is based on any real gear. I mean, the face mask here, this might be, but I think for the most part, flamethrowers have been done away with in modern combat. So it is interesting to see. They have to like speculate what kind of gear the military would use. And speaking of that, here is his flamethrower. Really interesting. It almost looks like the rifle from Alien. Really interesting kind of weapon here. I don't know. This is a heat shield right here. And then you have the gas tank. And you get this little attachment bit that just looks like a bit of billowing smoke. But you also get a more robust flame. And then you get a much more dramatically extended kind of flame that you'd expect to see come out of a flamethrower where it's dripping down. Really, really nice effect parts. And it's nice that you actually get 3 of them in 3 different stages of being shot out. So that's a really nice little premium addition. And it helps that these look nice, they're painted well, and they fit in real easy. So this just goes in his hand real easy. Bada boom, get in there. All right. Then you get a backpack here. I think this is also a brand new piece. You do get this little like shelf down here, which makes me think the gun can plug into it, like for storing it when he's not using it. So we just plug that in there. And then you get the same tube that I think we first saw with a Techno Viper. I don't know if it was first seen there, but that's where I first saw it. I believe that plugs in right down there, and I think plugs right here into the bottom, like this little peg right here. Pegs into there, but it needs to go under the arm because that's how you really hold the flamethrower. And wait for it, because you got to get the finger and the trigger. Man, that's being a butthole. There we go. And here we have our flamethrower. He is pretty finicky in practice. The nozzles and tubes want to make him go a certain way, especially the one on the back here. This should have been out of a much more pliable soft rubber because as it is, you move it one way, it becomes unattached. You try and pose it and it moves the backpack all around. So it's a little finicky, but if you give it the time, you can get it into some pretty cool poses as a flamethrower. Luckily, this is the one figure I'm glad the weapon is rubber because his articulation is so cursed and subpar for what he needs to do that if you couldn't, I don't think he'd be able to really shoulder or hold his weapon convincingly, considering right now the stock is bending pretty dramatically just to fit in there. So it's good that this one is rubber for a change. And there we go. We just plug his little fire attachment in, and there is the completed product. That looks amazing. It looks really cool. I don't like the colors, obviously. As like I said, I'm into the more militaristic figures, and this one is a bright red and bright yellow, very eye-grabbing, and especially for such a delicate tool like a flamethrower, I don't think you want to be drawing a lot of attention to yourself, considering you are a vulnerability. Obviously, you don't explode like in the video games, but it's still a expensive piece of equipment. You don't really want to draw your attention to yourself that you're carrying such a thing. And then I just wanted to see if you could fit this in the backpack to prove my hunch right, and it looks like you can. It will stay in there. I don't know what direction you're exactly supposed to put it in at. So, but you can put it in. It's just a matter of getting the hoses to stay attached while you do it. I think I got it. It's weird. It's probably supposed to be done a specific way, but I don't really look at the promotional images all that much. But if you really, it's possible. That's what I'm just trying to say. It's possible. Yes, it will hold the weapon so he can be completely free-handed while still having all his accessories. There goes the nozzle again. Yeah. This one's going to be a little finicky and tough to play with, but it'll look good on the shelf once you give it the time of day. Mine's legs are also pretty loose. They don't want to hold all the weight that is put on this guy by just his build alone and all the added on bits added on to him. So a little bit of a miss, especially compared to the Footloose here, but I still really like it and I still think it's good. It's just, I think they could have executed him a little bit better. So anyway, that's pretty much it for these two guys. There's no real point in doing size comparisons. It's pretty standard size, and neither of these I think are supposed to be bigger Joes anyway. They're just two standard dudes, so you know how big they are. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my review on them. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Footloose a 9 out of 10. It's really good, and I can't even think of what they could do differently to make it any better. There's no real flaws with it. I guess the only thing I can say is the butterfly joint, but that is just me wanting everything to be up to the standard of the Retro Duke. But it's still a really good figure on its own merit, and a near perfect incarnation of our beloved Footloose. And for the Blowtorch, I'm going to have to give him more of a 6 out of 10, just because he is hampered by his gear, his articulation, all the nozzles and what they're made out of. They need to be softer rubber so they bend a lot easier, and his construction is a little loose. But he is a wonderful package. You do get the flame effects and all the little that's pretty much all you get. It's the flame effects and his weapons, but his weapons are complicated enough to be interesting and really sell the package. So anyway, guys, that's all I had to say about these two. What do you guys think about these two new Joes? Are you gonna get them? Do you guys collect this line? And what do you think of them? Are you guys fans of these characters? Let me know all that down in the comments. And I'll catch you guys in the next review. This has been Toy Adventures, signing out. Peace!